Hello my friends and happy new year. Welcome back to my channel. In today's reading we are going to be doing a somewhat of a premonitory reading, I guess, for 2024 predictions. So we are going to see what is your journey in 2024, what can you kind of expect as like your character arc in this time. And just some highlighting themes that you might notice. So this is a preparation reading. So that being said, anything that is a little scary, or I don't know, if you feel like you're just kind of over it at this point, this can be a good way to set your mind straight and get kind of reamped for whatever comes your way. Because I know sometimes we can get really tired of like the same old thing. I mean, as you guys have seen with my tarot channel here, I've been kind of all over the place and not doing it as much. So sometimes we just need to re-inspire old ideas or things that we're, currently working on and maybe preparing to pave way for a new journey. So that being said, though, let's get to this reading so you can get yourself into a receptive mode. And if you need to know how to do that, check out my link below to my video on how to pick a card using your intuition. Once you get set straight, though, we have our group 1, group 2, and group 3. Timestamps will be provided below. I'll see you at your time. Hey, group 1, let's get started with your tarot pick a card reading today, all about what your 2024 journey is going to be. So we have, to start us off, keep your temper, don't allow anger to rule you. We also have Horse, find the balance between instinctive and tamed part of your personality. And then we also have communication is key, new moon in Gemini. So let's put this like this. So it's funny because right away, like, I'm feeling like a lot of energy in my chest, and what it feels like is like being able to use that inner force that you might have that might get you normally worked up, learning how to channel that energy. This is very much the whole tempering your anger energy, which is that of like Scorpio energy, I would say, has a lot more control. And the 8th house of Scorpio, which is the power of Scorpio, because the 8th house is Scorpio energy as well, is Gemini too. So it's like being able to really learn new ways to embark your power and to find, like it says here, some sort of like a balance between tempering your anger, but also like applying it in a very like productive way. There's some things I feel like in your life that you've always gotten very like down about. Like there's certain things that you just don't ever take as a good sign, like, and it could be very like archetypal energies. Like maybe there's certain ways of being. I mean, I see like this orange cat here and it makes me think of like different animal qualities, like people say, oh, like black cats are like this, orange cats are like this, X, Y, and Z. So it's something about like a certain archetype that you see, you just assume it's going to be a certain way. And I think that's where you see a lot of anger, when in reality that energy is very free, and it is kind of showcasing this level of control of like being able to be out there and be different, but also like having some kind of staying power in that, or like not authority necessarily, but like just like reasoning. Like there's some sort of like validation, it brings me back to like certain narratives. We tell ourselves certain narratives, and that's why we get so angered about something, is because we have a certain narrative about it. Or on the contrary, the reason we believe certain things about ourselves, it makes me think of like someone being like, I don't like your blue hair. And it's like, okay, if you don't have blue hair, like you're just not even going to think about that comment because you've told yourself that you do not have a certain quality, or you do have a certain quality. Like if you did have blue hair, you might be like, oh shit, but that's what I'm kind of seeing here, though, is that idea of narratives really coming into play, and basically learning how to like harness and control those narratives and try to find a little bit more, I guess, staying power is kind of what it comes back to here, to be able to keep going a certain route without getting kind of hung up on things. Because like I said, when you see red, like you're unable to really process things in a productive manner, it feels like, or at least that might have been like a theme over your life. You could be getting better at it, honestly, but because sometimes when I find when this keep your temper card comes out, it comes in a time when you don't even really feel like your temper is that messed with, or like maybe you're pretty like good at keeping her cool. Like in the next season of your life, this 2024 year, it feels like there is going to be a lot more moments where you feel this internal desire to act into, you know, and sometimes it might be spooked into it. You might be like worried about something, and you know, like I said, it's just that idea of seeing danger or like sensing it in areas that you just deemed scary. And it makes me think of like a horse, for example, like with like a snake. I mean, obviously a horse is pretty large compared to a snake, and like it just doesn't really seem like it should be a very serious threat to a horse. But if a horse sees a snake, the snake normally spooks the horse. So like there's something about rewiring that part of yourself that gets really spooked about certain things. So let's see though, with tarot cards here, what can pile 1 expect is their energy in 2024? Yeah, that's so funny. So we have the 7 of Cups here. This card is all about kind of being wary, but it's like a very imaginative card. Every time I see this card, it makes me think of like when your head is in the clouds and there's, you know, your imagination is running wild, essentially, for good or for evil, you know. And it's funny I said for evil instead of like bad, because evil in a sense of like maybe you're assuming malice in situations because of free-spirited people that do have different qualities that you don't have. Like there's certain things about that I feel like you're going to have to learn to deal with, because this is the before tarot, and with him having his eyes shut here and there's nothing in the cups, you know, it shows this blinder that I feel like you've had willingly with your own thoughts. Notice it's his hands covering his eyes. Your hands have a lot to do with Gemini energy. So there's something here about like your thoughts have really like blinded you to a lot of different opportunities in the past because of this anger that you might have had about them. But this is you being put in the position where maybe you have to look at these other choices and these others' qualities and really learn their strengths, because maybe that was something that, like I said, could have made you lose your temper in the past. But there's a star quality that I feel like you're trying to discover through all of this. And a star quality in the sense of like, I'm thinking of like divine. Like there's some part of these attributes that you have had problems with that you have not understood to be some sort of like divine call to you, in a sense of like maybe it was supposed to get you riled up so you would move in a certain direction. So if you like really push yourself away from even looking at those areas, like you're not even able to feel that zest for life anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's some kind of stagnancy that could be occurring, that it's basically your own narrative that is creating it. So we have the Empress as well. See, this to me also makes me think of like the new position or role that you might be in, might be one that is a lot more about dealing with this quality of like differences. You know, we see like young children on her lap here. So it makes me think of, I mean, just how children play and how children are, you know, like this very specific example coming to mind makes me think of the people that aren't around children a lot. They have very low tolerance for just normal childlike behavior, like kids screaming or like kids running wild or like getting into things, you know, like they might see that as like, oh, that's a bad kid kind of thing and like get annoyed by it. But if you have a certain tolerance for kids, you understand kind of the purity in their actions and like the qualities that might show, you know, like for example, like if your kid is walking around getting into everything, that shows a kind of curiosity that they have, which if a baby or a little kid doesn't show that energy, that's a bad sign. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's a quality that like, if you don't understand it, you can get angry about it. You can really like deny the value of those certain things. So there's something about you changing a position in this upcoming year where you're able to actually feel a lot more guided in a positive way. Like you're not seeing red anymore about situations, maybe because you had some conversations with people that like made you realize that you were kind of being a Debbie Downer about things. We have the Devil here as well. I'm going to pull the rest of these real quick before I keep going. The Two of Wands. And the Tower. Wow. Hello, Major Arcana. The Knight of Wands is in the back of the deck. So I am seeing this a couple ways. One, this could be very relational oriented. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about like how other people can kind of tempt you into this anger because of the archetype that they play, that can be one very obvious part. It's going to be relationships. But like, if this is like a dating life scenario, and this can be not only this, like hold space for multiple ways that this can apply, because normally if it applies to one way, it's probably in other ways, but you're just more focused on seeing it through that one lens. So like, now that I've said that, relationally though, this is very much like finding a type of person that you like your type, and all of a sudden being denied, I want to say denied access to that type. And it's like, you feel like this is kind of all that's out there and all that you've ever wanted. So the fact that you're being denied access to something, it makes you feel immobilized, like you're not stable, in the sense of like when you have some kind of restriction put in front of you, like sometimes there is stability with that, because you're like, okay, like instead of like a horse running free, you have like some sort of guidelines to stay in, and like that's safe. But like something about maybe the guidelines that you've set for yourself has made it really hard for you to explore other options or other people. You know, like I said, there's certain qualities that you've had like low tolerance for that are very like unwarranted. And I think it's unwarranted just because you just you haven't had that communication with yourself yet. Like, and that's why you're denying it in other people. And I know that's like a very philosophical thing, because when you're in the moment, like it's really hard to feel that way and try to change your mindset. But I feel like there's something here to come with changing your mindset. Maybe like a whole opportunity of new people, new resources. Because I keep kind of seeing this horse go from like an area, like a field, like to different terrains and stuff. So there's something here about exploring more, and being more like open to different options, just because, like I said, maybe there's some serious karma that is being played out through a certain archetype that, like, if that's not working out for you anymore, maybe you need to like step back and let that energy do its own thing. It's funny too, because as I'm talking, I'm like just kind of zoning out, looking at my bookshelf, and there's this one book, The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, which is kind of like about like narcissistic energy, you know, that. So that's kind of what I'm feeling here, is like you might feel like you are very used to that type of energy, and like you haven't really tapped into anything else. So like you feel like there's nothing there. But like this is something here is telling me that like this isolated, desolate sort of area that you created was supposed to feel that way so you would get out of it. Like that's what is really annoying, I think, to you at this point, because you don't want to feel that way. Like you don't want to be in this negative headspace. You don't want to be angry at people and their decisions too, because I feel like you see other people make decisions that are, as you would see, like not good decisions. So you get really frustrated about that. But again, like there's something here about you needing some kind of reckoning as it relates to decisions in order to really understand maybe like the people around you better and have a different taste in people around you. Honestly, like that is coming up very big here. Maybe your taste in people is going to change, probably because you get so fed up. You know what? This makes me think of like the people, like, I don't know, like there's just a lot of like different ways that this could show up, but like I just feel like there's like the people that are like, you know, I've always been interested in this type of person, and because I've gotten, you know, hurt by the other type of person that I always went for, I'm gonna go for this new type of person. Like it's a very like refreshing type of like switch in energy. So we also have goldfish, which is increase in material wealth or spiritual growth, which I see both for you, honestly. I mean, finances aren't really coming up here that much at all. So if you were worried about that, just know that like the more you increase your spiritual growth, the more material wealth also comes that way. But two, with this spiritual growth, I mean, like I said, you are moving a lot more with the flow. You have some type of like, I don't know, purpose now, I guess is a good way to put it. Like you feel like in this upcoming year, you're going to feel like you have a little bit more of a mind set that's working for you. And that's what spiritual growth ultimately does, honestly. I'm noticing the orange here too. So like there's something about that orange energy in you, that like sacral energy in you, that is going to be very like intrigued in these upcoming months, you know, in the upcoming 12 months. You're going to find yourself being very pulled in specific directions and changing the way you express yourself ultimately, because you're not so maybe ashamed of like repercussions, honestly, because when you have this kind of like mindset about like how people are gonna take X, Y, and Z, because I mean, it ultimately comes from you having that mindset where you could be judgmental. So if you are less judgmental, you might just expect less judgment and then get less judgment. So again, this is kind of like a random little side note here, but I feel like you are having some kind of like epiphany about how to move, as simple as that sounds. We have younger women, so dealings or relationships with a younger woman. You might make friends with a younger woman, or maybe younger women are like the people that you are attracted towards after having this shift, or who you've been kind of having struggles with, you know, take it as it resonates for you. But I do see this as like being supported by that like young girly energy of like, it like, what's a good way to explain this? Like Swifties, or like people that are very like passionate about the groups, like famous groups or something like that. Like they'll do anything to like kind of be in that energy, you know what I mean here? So like that's what I'm seeing as like kind of an epiphany or an enlightening factor for you in this time, where you're a lot more like okay with being, I want to say like a lover girl, or just someone that is like very open to receiving good. We have Beau. You are highly thought of. Again, it's giving girly girl energy here. So maybe that's like an arc that you haven't really gone on that much, but it's allowing yourself to do so. Take care. Enemies are working against you. This is interesting. This is very much like worry of people talking about you. And the reason why they talk about you is because you are just like a spark, like is what I want to say. Like there's something about you in this time period that is really like intrigued in going after things that you were not previously interested in. So maybe that's what makes people talk about you, is because you're starting to go after trends. That's that younger woman energy too. You're starting to go after trends and starting to kind of find a more bliss in like expansion and growth and like new opportunities, like very Jupiterian energy. There's something about you that is very much like pulled in a bunch of different directions. But I think for some reason here, like you are worried that this is going to give you negative approval, but I feel like it's giving you a positive approval by a completely different group of people. So that's exciting. We have unsettled times, need to plan ahead. So it's looking like towards the end of the year, there is some kind of conflict that's coming up. Let's get one more. Sun, happiness and well-being. So yeah, maybe at the end of the year, you're really going to be hitting a breaking point of like letting old ways die. Like you might not very much want to, and I feel like the act of like how things are going to unravel for you might be really challenging. But like it says here, communication is key. It's very important for you to keep an open mind and to communicate what sort of things you are allowing to bring into this next phase of your life and which things you can get rid of. Yeah, because we have the Two of Pentacles here. I feel like there's a lot of shifts in how you are operating. Like on your day-to-day level, who you're operating around, like it's switching up. Like your friend groups, your maybe your time and money, like the way that you spend those, like your hobbies are different. I mean, there's something about everything just kind of taking a positive, more high vibration, like momentum, that it's going to be obvious that, you know, people are going to have things to say and it might feel unsettling at times. But at the end of the day, like if you're happy, you can really allow the people around you that seem like they don't, like that have the judgments, to like have their judgments. Something here makes me think of like these two kids being like now these adults, and it's like you're able to see like how people that were denied this freedom of like looking around and like I was saying earlier, curiosity as a child, people that were denied that curiosity as a child are the same ones giving these judgment calls that are harsh and cruel and like unwarranted, again, is the word. So I think that's very important for you to go through this journey, because you become someone that's not like that, and someone who makes it very aware that like people can be both. Like people can be, you know, very serious and have like their wits about them, but also can have this girly pop energy and like do what they want to do and be a boss, you know. Like there's something about doing it both, like doing both of those things, that it's going to be really prevalent on this journey for you. So that being said, group 1, I hope you enjoyed this message. And if you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages like this. If you want to book a reading with me, just message me on Instagram. Otherwise, I will see you guys in a later video. Peace. Hey group 2, let's get started with your tarot pick a card reading all about your journey in 2024. So first, let's get started with your cards here. We have find the lesson, discover the purpose in the situation, trust that you are learning. We also have elephant. Use your sense of empathy to iron out differences in your family or in your in your personal or professional relationships. Your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. So right away, it's funny because when I was shuffling your pile, it was like very hard for me to pick just one card, like to get one card to come out. It was always coming out 2s. And I kept feeling I don't know, the message, I guess, of like, you have options, but like at one point or another, you do have to pick. And I feel like find the lesson is very on brand for that, because it does give this feeling of like, maybe you have had a lot of options in a certain area of life, you know, as it says here, it could be family, personal, professional relationships, where you have a lot of options, you know, you have a lot of people that want your time, X, Y, and Z. And there's something here about you like putting efforts into all of these areas of your life, but at a certain point, it's getting redundant. It feels very routine. It feels like you're at that point where something needs to change, but you don't really know what it is. And that's where this find the lesson comes in, is because this year you are going to start to see some things, basically. It makes me think of like when you do something every day, you find the pattern, that routine. You can start to find patterns in that sort of routine because you're so used to it, like things that are different, or you know, when it's not going according to plan, quote unquote, it's very obvious and it makes an appearance in your awareness. So there's something here where something is going to make an appearance in your awareness, and maybe it'll be more of this elephant in the room type energy that is showing you that maybe it's time to level up, especially with your hard work is paying off. I think it's going to be very apparent to you that like you have completed a cycle. There's certain things that like you've done kind of the work to figure out and master, and now you're in this phase of like, okay, like I'm gonna have to stop putting so much energy into this. But here's the thing though, is like when you have such a solid routine built around something, it kind of minimizes it. It takes less time in your day than maybe when you first started something. You know, if you ever think about like when you go to a new job, it's like every second that you're there, like it feels like you are there, you know what I mean? Like you're not used to everything. Or like even when you're driving to a location, it's like 2 hours away, you know, the drive there feels forever if you don't know where you're going. But then, you know, if you know that drive, you might turn on an audiobook and then boom, you blink your eyes and you're already there. Like there's something here about that like sort of routine, like that basis that you set for yourself that is allowing you to leap off into other areas. And that might become the elephant in the room here. Maybe you are just realizing that you're like, okay, the same old isn't doing it for me anymore. There's something with that. So let's pull some more cards here to see what else is going on in your energy for 2024. We have the Hierophant. Let's move these up. The Knight of Cups. That Seven of Pentacles. There's that evaluation. Page of Wands. And the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, we love how this is going for you. Honestly, this is nice. So, yeah. Routines. Being in your own sort of Zen garden, I want to say, you know, where you have certain things you take care of. and it's peaceful for you. You know, you've hit a point where it's peaceful, where things are being, like, you know, where you're getting accepted, to say the least. You know where to go and where you can water some flowers and where you feel accomplished, things are good, whatever. But there's something about that, like I said, like the time of it shortens and your energy has room for more, and you have realized that is the case in this upcoming year, and that is going to bring you a lot of interesting situations, because it's like, okay, it makes me think of like a garden, you know, like what am I going to repot? What can I like cut off and make into like little, like propagate, basically, like plants that I could propagate. Like there's different routes that you could take with what you've accumulated already. So this will be a time where you actually get to sit in that for a second, like I said, your Zen garden, and really just take that for what it's worth. You know, it might seem like a really slow period, but it's not an unfulfilled period. Like I feel like there's plenty of people around you, plenty of things for you to do. Nothing crazy new or anything that's jumping out right away, but it feels like you are headed on that trajectory. Maybe more towards the end of the year, you're going to start feeling like the gateways are opening up a little bit for you, and you're about to feel more of the abundance. Because right now, like I said, you have what you need, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're very content in this space, but there's more out there, and there's more that you haven't even really thought of, because you're at the stage that you're at. You know, it's not available to you. You might have previews, I want to say. It makes me think of playing a video game, how it might show you like an outline or some glimpses of like what's to come, sort of thing, like if you keep advancing. So you might be getting tastes of that throughout this year, you know, a little bit here and there that you're very like, that gets you excited. Honestly, I see excitement here for you. I see you having some sort of zest about the direction things are taking, and it's more so like, it's like outer stimuli, you know. I feel like this isn't a very inward year for you, which is nice, because I think you might have spent a lot of time inward, but now after kind of refining what's happening on the inside, you're able to more so like engage on the outside world and find that whatever is on the outside, like there's a lot of things you haven't explored, that you haven't uncovered yet, that you are really anticipating, I should say. So we have Star, we have guaranteed success. September, you know, it's funny because I was saying the later months are coming through as a strong time for you. So September should be prevalent. We have Yoke, which is feeling tired or feeling tied down or frustrated. 2 more. We have Rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. And then we have Handshake. A meeting with a stranger could be important. All right. A lot to take in. And it's funny because I took the moment to breathe and like just sit for a second, relax. And like I said, that's your Zen garden for you. You've created a sort of situation where it's foolproof. Like you're going to be okay either way, no matter what happens. There is something here about you being aware of the fact that like you have come to a certain place, a certain caliber in your life where you do deserve certain things with no questions asked. Like people should just know and have respect for you. So there is some caution here, and maybe that, like I said, is the elephant in the room from professional, family, whoever in your life that don't agree with that. You know, if you feel like you have really done a lot for yourself and like have put yourself in a position, and like, you know, that in a way should be honored by the people especially closest to you. And it makes me feel like there might be people closest to you that are not necessarily honoring this level up that you are approaching or exhibiting at this point. Like there's something here about not necessarily, I don't know, like the people around you are they're safe people, but you know, just be mindful of the fact that some people are not always going to appreciate your success, and they're not always going to appreciate what you've done for yourself. So if you just lead from a place that knows that like you have the right to come from where you're coming from, and you know, like you've earned what you've earned, I feel like you should be fine. Like this doesn't seem to be something that's going to knock you off your toes too much, but it will definitely make you think a lot about who it is that you do spend time with. Like I was saying earlier, I think the time that you spend with people is going to change. Maybe you're going to be doing a lot more like projects with people, working more with people, like more productive kind of conversations is what I'm seeing. I don't feel like you've ever been someone that was really like off target ever, honestly. Like you've come a long way, and that's very obvious. So people that want to be around you at this point have to be kind of on board for whatever tangent you're on at that moment. And I think that's the sort of respect that people have for you, because over time, like, you've proven yourself to have a sort of knowledge that like doesn't, it's not common. Like you have some sort of like instinctive, intuitive ability where like you've just learned enough of the right stuff that you actually have some very logical directions to go that like maybe other people aren't going to understand. So like this is very much feeling confident in that, and like knowing that sometime your energy just kind of speaks for itself. You don't have to like have all this like proof that you are worthy of X, Y, and Z and being followed and being respected for where you are taking things, maybe you're trying to make purchases, like buy a house or it's a business thing, something like that. And you might feel like people aren't going to take you seriously, or they aren't going to back and support you. But I do see here that there are plenty of people that are backing and supporting you. And that's something you'll, like, I think at this point you're very aware of. Like I said, you have a very like good social network, friends, family included. So this could be a time where you can rely on that more with some more positive, like, I don't know, like you can positively anticipate different things because of that. You know the right people. These people are wanting to help you. They want to show you a different direction that maybe is a little risky in your eyes, or would have been risky if you didn't know the right people. And that's the thing, is like there's something about the environment that you have put yourself in that you know, again, it's the Zen garden thing. You've done something where now all these other people who are gardeners, like maybe I don't know, maybe you just created your little Zen garden out of random impulse. You were like, I just want to make this, whatever. No one around you was a gardener though. Then all of a sudden, all these gardeners from out of nowhere come around and they're like, oh, blah, 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 and want to go on and talk to you about gardening, want to teach you more stuff. Like, that's the kind of example we're getting here, where all of a sudden, like, your garden is a really popular place to be, and it's really cool. So, of course, people want to help you out. Of course, people want to be involved with that. And don't push that away, because I think that is going to be very fruitful for you in the future. And if anything, like I said, I think you should be excited for it. Obviously there will be people that are going to think that they know it all, but you know a decent amount too. So take everything with a grain of salt. Recognize that, everybody has their own way of doing things, and you don't necessarily have to do something the exact same way to get a same result. There's plenty of different ways to go about things, especially with business. This feels very business oriented, professional oriented. Someone who is looking to have some kind of public success as well. And I do see public success being a thing, especially like I said, later in the year. It's going to feel like your hard work has very much paid off, and it's going to be right in front of your eyes. I mean, maybe this will be financial stability, and with finding the lesson too, like I said, there's so many ways that you could go about things. So if you can find the lesson in going different ways, like you are very well rounded in that regard of like, there can be a lot of different moving parts, and that is advanced kind of ways of operating. It's an advanced system if you think about it. So your system and way of operating is going to improve. So I love that for you guys, group 2. Let me think if there's any other messages. This was pretty like straightforward, honestly. This is going to be a good year for you. This feeling tied down or frustrated makes me feel like there's certain relationships that are like help that you might accept, that you're like, okay, like this might work out a little bit, but it might not be something long term. And that will be something that you will start to understand. You'll find lessons in every person that you are, not even every person that you come in contact with, literally everything that every little venture that you take, even if it's not long standing, you will see a point behind it. And like that will be a very, very successful thing for you in the future, because you're going to feel so much wiser and like mature by the end of this. That's the hard work that's really going to pay off. Like, this is a very good Saturn year for you. If you look at your transits, I can probably bet that your Saturn is making some good aspects. So That being said, though, group 2, I hope this message resonated for you guys. And if it did, make sure you give a big thumbs up to this video. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages like this. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can DM me on Instagram. Otherwise, I will see you guys in a later video. Peace. Hey, group 3, let's get started with your tarot pick a card reading today, all about 2024 and your journey. Let's see what we got. We have, I want to be a queen, stating your sovereignty, declaring freedom, passing a test. We also have feather, be honest with yourself. There is somewhere in your life where you haven't been upfront. And then take time to breathe out, disseminating moon. Okay, so right away, this is giving very... obviously, I know what I want kind of energy. But like it says here, maybe you have been very light, very, makes me think of like queen rules, like when you're, you know, the women in like a royal hierarchy, you have a very like soft, sophisticated way of being, you know, a lot of it is not making trouble, not speaking up, that sort of thing. So there's something about you that is, you know, obviously leveling up, but feeling this real strong desire to state where you are not pleased in areas that maybe you feel like you have been shunned from doing so, taught not to do so. It's funny because this is giving a pause, a very much like moment where you have to look at your surroundings and really like figure out what is not working for you anymore. And I think it's really clear already, honestly, like you might have reactions to things that are very like obvious, like that you don't have good feelings about them. I mean, I don't know. You feel a very tempered person. Like I said, there's a very lightness to your energy, very much like going with social norms. Like this is someone like at a party. If someone's being weird, like they're more likely to be like, okay, like, and like walk away from them rather than confront them. And like, I think there's part of you that is like kind of wanting to be a little confrontational, trying to enter this era of like, I do not settle. Basically, I do not settle is what I want to say. So let's pull some more cards here to see what this journey looks like for you guys. Yeah, okay, the Hangman. I was going to say there's something about this where it's like nothing's going on. And maybe you just want to stir the pot. And that's where you just get this I want to be queen energy. It makes me think of drama or, like I said, stirring the pot. But also just like when you're bored and all of a sudden you're like, I suddenly now have specific desires that I did not have when I was busy. Like, that's a good way to put it. Yep, and then we have our 8 of Wands, 3 of Cups. That social lightness energy, too, with that 3 of Cups. We have the 9 of Swords and the Lovers. Oh, goodness. Okay, so this break that you might have is going to be very much like I said, it's going to stir you up inside, and it's going to make you want to stir things up inside, which might make you reach out to people that you wouldn't normally reach out to. That could give you anxiety and bring you into a space of like, wait a second, I want to have a level up. Like, I want to feel like I am someone that like people have to honor and respect, and like very much like, I don't know, act that out. I feel like you want to feel like a queen in the sense of like, you want to feel like you are being, not around peasants, but like, what's a way to put this on? Like, isn't so like blunt, God. But just essentially like you want to have some sort of like, you want people to wait on you. You want people to like be waiting in line to like please you, sort of thing. And I know that might sound like narcissistic to some people, but like this isn't that crazy of like a thing to ask for. If anything, it's like you really just want to be adored and you want to feel kind of the love, beauty, romantic parts of life in a way that is very much like not something that, I don't know, like if you're very light energy and you're very in your head and you're very following the rules, you might not find yourself ever in the position of like really, I don't know, getting what you want, essentially. And not the fact that you won't get what you want, but like you just might find yourself like feeling like you're always an option and like the last resort, and like people just are tired and don't have time for you. that sort of thing. Like there's something here where it's like you want to feel like the opposite of that. And it's funny because I can't even put my words on explaining exactly what that is for some reason. Like I keep talking about it in a really roundabout way. And that's the journey that you're starting off in. Like you're very much like roundabout, like soft. I want this, but like, like, and it's funny because like I'm getting very like girly pop coded as I'm like explaining this message. Like I'm talking in weird voices, like I'm getting kind of uncomfortable. So it feels like this might be a very uncomfortable journey for you. Hence why it says take time to breathe out. Like just take breaths, let it out, like calm down. Don't let your antics control you, but also let them, you know what, that's what I want to say. Like, I think you get to a point where you really like reserve yourself and you like don't let yourself act things out. And like, maybe that's a good thing because sometimes you can be a little crazy, a little cranky, a little dramatic, high expectations, whatever. You don't want to stir the pot in that energy. But if you are feeling like a little, not mischievous, but like kind of mischievous, you know, like you're just like, yeah, like I want to go and like whatever, like put yourself in positions that you normally wouldn't. And I think that will bring you a lot of like, obviously anxiety, but like there will be a part of you that is like, that gets comfortable in this distress and finds some sort of peace in it where you're like, wow, like this isn't what I thought it was. And that's okay. Like there's something that is good about that kind of realization here. Because like I said, you might have some very like ideas, very specific ideas about how things could be, should be, like if you were in this position, whatever. And like, but you just want to be adored and you don't know exactly what that looks like yet and how many different ways it can look. So putting yourself out there, it's going to help you realize that things that maybe you thought would get you that aren't getting you that, etc. Like that's a kind of niche part of this journey, but it makes me feel like that is going to relieve a lot of your anxiety and make you realize that like, I don't know, maybe you don't have to do all the things that you think you have to do. Like you don't have to put on a whole show in order to be treated like royalty. Like, because it's funny because one of the examples I was thinking of, it's really simple, but it's like, you know, thinking like I've always wanted to be that girl that goes out and like, you know, the mini skirts, goes to the club or whatever, and then you go to the club and you're like, okay, like this is fine, it's not a bad deal, but like you're getting a specific kind of attention, whatever, you might like that, you might not, whatever. And then the next time you're like, oh, I go in like the whole sweat theory of like, if you go to the bar and sweats, like you're going to have a lot more guys buy you drinks, something like that. And you maybe try that. And like, you find different ways to like get some sort of like adoration. And, you know, it gets you different types of people and it gets you different types of service is what I want to say too. Service is a big thing here. Maybe you are like getting into that era of like wanting to be treated right and wanting to be treated like a queen by people. So, you know, having all these little fantasies about it might be enough for you to start moving in that direction. Honestly, that's kind of how it goes. So you've done a lot of work already on yourself to get to this position of like imagining these different ideas for you to go after. So don't look at them as like frivolous and stupid, you know, like I know some people might look at this energy and say, oh, it's not, there's nothing going on upstairs type thing. But like, I feel like your energy is going, it has so much going on upstairs and it's only like moving, it's moving very specifically with like what aligns with that. So like, I don't know. It's not the judgment of other people that I think is even a factor here. It's really just about you like allowing yourself to play out these motives. I think it's more of like the societal judgment of like being in this girly energy of like, you know, oh, like I want to go and like stir the pot and like go to the bar because I know this one person and this other person and that person's going to be there, you know, like that could be looked down upon by people. And that's what I'm trying to like fight, I guess, by saying the things that I'm saying, where it's like, that's not even a worry here. Like you're learning good lessons out of this. You're declaring your own freedom by, you know, acting out these whims and wishes and just having kind of like that girly fun. We have staff you'll be taken care of in difficult times. It's funny too, because like I said, like, you know, maybe you're struggling right now to feel like you love yourself. So it feels like you kind of seeking that out in other areas, you know, not that external validation, it gives you self-love, but it can kind of inspire that, you know, and Like if someone comes up to you and is like, oh my God, I love your hair. Like you can't tell me that the next time you do your hair, you don't think about that comment. You know what I mean? Like there's something about approval on an external level that does resonate within. And it feels like that is kind of the kicker here, that you're taking in stride this time around. We have Vine, seeking out information that will help you. Exactly. Like if you feel, I don't know, like you really just don't know what's out there. You don't know who is going to appreciate your energy yet. And this is a good time for you to find that out. We have January. So this could be a very significant time already for you, where you are really starting to see like, wow, there's a lot of different ways that I could connect with people and find new opportunities. I think you're going to find a lot of new friends in this upcoming year. And maybe these could be people that, I don't know, like they make you reflect on yourself. They make you really think too about what they say. Like I think their words are going to really affect you, and this could be good, this could be bad, but this could be something ultimately, this will be something ultimately that helps you with your sovereignty and helps you just develop more of your own opinion and more of your own preference. We have handshake as well. And then we have cracked cup, dissatisfaction with life. One more. Rooster. It's funny, that came out for other ones too. It's funny because the Aries North Node, I think, is very much this rooster energy, where it's like you have to really define yourself in this upcoming year. And where you feel like you're not satisfied, you might be able to make amends with those areas in your life and seek out information that is going to make it better. And I feel like January, right now is a really good time for you to pick out some sort of like, not character flaw, but there's like certain things where you're like, this is not helping. Like this is not helping at all. And you're very aware of that, and you're going to change your mind about associating with that energy. And I'm saying it vaguely because I think it's going to be a vague thing. Like it's going to be something that you're just kind of picking up on, and you're like, oh, that's not benefiting me. And like even if there's not growth, or like you can't, I don't know, even if there's not like physical changes to something, like you'll feel like if you are being valued accordingly or not, or if you're associating with things that feel good to you or not. Like overindulgence could be a thing here, and you might just hit a point where you're like, this doesn't even fulfill me. So, but again, like that's the girliness of it, where you can just kind of change your mind and move on to a different little thing, and it's like it never happened. So I feel like with the Lovers here too, like this is very much you recognizing that the love and support that is handed to you is like a good sign, and you're able to accept that instead of feeling like, I don't know, like maybe you were someone that didn't want any handouts. You were someone that was very much like in the back, just like, following your own, like following the rules that were set for you, and not even considering that like there were certain ways people could be treating you that made you feel more aware of like, I don't know, your ability to ask for things, like your ability to like have help, your ability to be waited on in a way. Like, and it's funny that I'm saying like service and like wait, because there's something about you that really like does not expect anything from anyone, but like would like that and would really appreciate that sort of like exchange of energy from people. And I feel like you might have a lot of anxiety about accepting that from others, but this journey is really helping you like release some sort of like unhelpful way that you were operating. That wasn't, I don't know, because like you have to engage with people and you have to let people help you in order for you to get, more information. And I think, other groups that I was reading for, like they had that a little bit more figured out. Whereas this one, it's like you haven't fully leaned into like the resources that you have access to and all the people that, can benefit you just through you engaging with them in a way that shows that you're open to receiving whatever kind of a solution they might have to bring. And like sometimes it's not even a solution in like the most obvious sense. Like sometimes it's just like an offer. And it doesn't have to go that far, you know, maybe it's just somebody else that like just wants to spend a little time with you because they're also in the same kind of position that you are. And that's okay. Like there's something about that that's leading you to more in general, and like being able to accept more from life in general. And I think that will be a very important part of this journey, but also one that comes with a lot of like thawing qualities to it. You know, like there's areas where I think you felt like you weren't growing that much, that you're going to feel a significant amount of growth because you sort of like thawed to the idea of there being growth there, you accepting kind of nurturing from other people, and just receiving. Honestly, acts of service are definitely a love language for a reason, and I think in a way they are yours. Like, and that maybe you haven't claimed that yet. So try it out. I feel like it might help you. But that being said, group 3, I hope this message resonated for you guys. And if it did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages like this. If you want to book a personal reading with me, check out my Instagram. You can DM me. Otherwise, I will see you guys in a later video.